Hello everyone, welcome to Get 'em Onside, where I look around to my left, jokers to my left, no, jokers to the right of me, no. Here I am, stuck in the middle of me. That's it at the moment here in HQ, Get 'em Onside. But we normally say meatloaf, don't be sad, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Well, there are 2 out of 3. It'll be myself and somebody, a Brisbane correspondent soon to join us. But there's somebody joining the world, folks. There's about 8 billion people on this planet, and we say a big hello and welcome to young George, who is the new son of parents, and a lucky kid this kid's going to be, the new son of parents, Vanessa and Sean Omerod. Georgie Omerod, welcome to the world, young man. So Shawnee naturally is off there doing parent things, and a man who is our correspondent, standing by, live at Suncorp Stadium. Dan Ghanaian, how are you?
Excellent hosting from you, Joel. Very official and studious. I loved it. And you got the most important news away first. I declare George king. I'm sure plenty of family and friends have already done that privately, but I declare on TV, the kid will be forever known as the king, King George. It is his father's name, his late father's name, if I'm not mistaken, Joel. So fantastic. And we can confirm it was Wednesday. So he gets a pass for missing our show on Wednesday.
Dan, some may say King George, others may say St. George. St. George Illawarra, you're there. Scene of the crime. How? Broncos, another loss. I can't believe this. I actually had a bit of an afternoon nap. You know when you have that winter sleep and the sun's beaming down, there's no better sleep. I could not believe the scoreline at the end of this.
Joel, I looked at the odds. Now, I'm calling this game on radio, so I didn't bet it. And I saw $3.80 for the Dragons, and I thought that was, and I'm not trying to sound like a genius after the event. I just don't know in what, Jacob Little, by the way, was unbelievable. I just don't know in what world right now Brisbane should be $1.30 against anyone, because they've got some problems. They're not connected. They're not playing well. Ezra Mann was phenomenal. Not perfect, but he was phenomenal. And I thought, and we all thought, he was going to get him over the line. I think now we've got to start looking at things like top 8. Brisbane now, a genuine chance of missing top 8. They're 5 and 6. They're about to lose Carrigan and Haas. They got Manly coming up at 4 Pines. That Manly haven't played them there in years, because that's always the magic round game. You know the media is going to jump on this. Now, I think what saves Brisbane this week from media scrutiny is Origin, in the fact that the 360s and the 100% footies and some of the papers will be focused on Origin. Not that they will escape scrutiny, but it won't be as intense as it was. But, Joel, I saw it for myself here.
Wow.
Not all's right. It's fixable, but they've already lost 6. They're going to get into the top 4. I'm not sure they can do it. And well done to St. George Illawarra, because they can make the finals. Now, I don't think they will, but they're in the fight. They're 4 and 6. Boy, it's a great race for the 8, isn't it? I mean, we've just had the game Tigers South Sydney, but you've got a little bit for the first time. I've noticed a little bit of breakaway. Now, it would have been a lot more if Cronulla didn't beat Melbourne. And as I give it back to you, and we start, in fact, I'll salivate in this, and then we'll get on with our segments. The 3 games I called this week, Joel, has anyone ever called 3 better games in a row? What about this for a trifecta? Doggies Roosters, Nwanganutawaze try, Dogs fight back, 30,000 Homebush, tick. Last night, Cronulla Melbourne, unbelievable atmosphere at Shark Park, dump of a ground, unbelievable atmosphere, and just
come on,
the Xavier Coates try, but then Cronulla, and you know what, Ronaldo, we might talk about him. He adds to the game. I don't think in a great way, but he adds to the game, and then this at Brisbane. But let's get to the more important stuff, Joel. So wrong, so right.
Bronson Sheridan, left-hand side, he'll score a try. Marky Mark has played 3 games only on the wing for the Roosters. We all love him, that's fine. But he has scored 4 tries. He has not missed scoring once when he's been on the Dingaling.
Very nice. And whatever price we got on Mark Nwanganutawaze, that's gone. He scores every time he's on the wing. He's still perfect.
Yep.
I think I might have said 5 from 5 on the call. It's actually 4 from 4. Joel, I didn't think he scored. At live, I thought there's no way he hasn't put a foot out or put the ball on the line. What did you think?
Well, not just that. Like, he also had the mission of getting back into the field of play, Dan, before he scores the try. Yeah, you're right. 5 tries he has scored in 4 games on the wing, so he hasn't missed. He's a great target. They've got a big game coming up this week, Roosters. Who are they playing, Dan, off the top of my head? It's eluded me. It'll come to me.
Roosters.
Anyway, is it the Sharks? I think it's the Sharks.
It might be.
They've got a massive game coming up, so they've got to watch
let's not
him
worry
out
about
that
next
side.
week yet. That's Wednesday's show because you did it again. And again, money in the bank. And the Sharks centre, who scores every week.
Kale Hero has not missed once this year. Has not missed once. Sharks to win. He scores. That's what I'm playing.
Look at you on a heater. Well done. And you must have thought, though, you must have been worried. You had Hero in the bank. Melbourne, one play.
Yeah, I did.
I thought they were going to score. I just thought Melbourne are the masters. They're going to come up with a try.
Well, Dan, you called the game terrifically well on Fox League, and the margin was 5. And even at the 5, I thought that you could be right. This could go to golden point. There might be a way in which maybe Nico kicks a field goal. It could have happened. But well done to Nico too. Since leaving Melbourne Storm, he had never beaten the Melbourne Storm. And their troubles continue in nighttime games. On the daytime, in the sun, they are flying. They're flogging teams, but they couldn't get it done. This was a big game here. And if Laurie Daly was concerned about, does he pick Jake Trbojevic, does he not? Well, it kind of got taken out of his hands. Manly with the win over the Cowboys, Dan. How'd you see that?
On the Jake Trbojevic incident, and well done to Manly, there's nothing to celebrate, but at least he doesn't get sacked. Now, I was thinking that you don't want to see anyone get concussed, and it was a nasty concussion. That was a proper head knock, so you don't want someone to go down that way. But at least the silver lining is the indignity that he would face. There's no indignity with not being picked with the career he's had, but I'm sure he would feel it if he was left out of the squad, which I think we all agree probably had to be. And, reigning captain, winning captain, it's probably, it wouldn't be a great feeling. At least that's taken out of his hands. I can't get a read on North Queensland. Manly, talking about not getting a read, Joel, they are impossible to bet because you don't know when they're going to be up for it, right? There's games of Brookie, like the game against Cronulla, you think, well, Sunday Arvo, big game. They never beat Cronulla. It's about time they get the whips cracking, and they're terrible. Yet they go to North Queensland and North Queensland crowd, and they defend their way to victory. So they are a stay away for me right now. Tom's interesting, and I don't know when they pick the teams, Joel, if it's tonight or tomorrow. I think he's going to be picked in Origin, but he's not 100%.
No, well, he's bandaged up like Hondo Grattan. Hey, Dan, what about this Warriors side? I don't recall ever seeing this, I don't think. So we're heading into round 12 of the Telstra Premiership. They got flogged. They were the worst performed team there in Vegas. Now you've got them sitting in second, so they appear to be the only threat at this stage to the Bulldogs for the minor premiership. Their differential is +5. They're +5, and they're sitting a clear second. How does that work out?
All right. I need you to be honest with me. You're not sold on them by a long way, are you? You are not sold on the Warriors. You've brought this up a couple of times over the last couple of weeks. You think they are paper tigers.
Paper tigers, I hadn't thought about that term, but no, I don't understand in my mind how you can be +5 differential and be a clear outright second in the competition. It is an anomaly, but in saying that, Webster, what he's done, Sean Johnson, a former Golden Boot winner, Tohu Harris, an absolute club and NRL giant of the game, he retired, and Adam Fanua-Blake, we saw what he did against the Melbourne Storm. How? I just don't know how, particularly what happened there in Vegas. I don't understand. Like, if you saw what you saw in Vegas, and then after that somebody said they'll be clear second with +5 differential heading into round 12, you wouldn't believe it.
I'll tell you how, Joel. The bloke in 7. That's how. And I'll tell you something else. If Luke Metcalf played in Sydney, he'd be Nico Hines 2022, and we wouldn't shut up about him. But because he's sort of hidden over there, that's another game. He was directly responsible for them winning. They do not win without him. How many games this year have they won because he was there? Not a contributor, but the reason. They do not win the Cowboys game in Magic Round. There's another game I'm thinking of. They do not win without Luke Metcalf. And I'm not saying pick him in Origin. I'm not saying he's rep worthy yet. I'll tell you what I am saying, Joel. If he's not leading the Dally M's, there is something wrong with the system. And I'm pretty sure he's not leading the Dally M's because he is the most valuable player in the NRL up to round 11. But I'll tell you what we're going to do. Now you got me fired up. Let's do this.
Well, he's made the kick important to some.
Yeah, Dan, this was important to some. You think you're fired up. What about spare a thought for a man on social media, Twitter in particular, or the artist formerly known as Twitter? We're talking about X now. Andrew Davies, who has this. He had Robbie Toyer, or Bobby Toyer, I like to call him. If he scores this try, he picks it up. He tagged us in this. Kick our scores a try. Nawanganawazi scores again, who keeps scoring, as you said, on the wing. But look at this, right-hand side. They go back inside. Bobby Toyer for the line.
No.
Oh.
Cost them the game in the end, and it's cost this poor bugger a big multi. Joel, I've never played a first-grade game, so it's not for me to judge. I don't understand how footballers can make that mistake.
Yeah, well, it wasn't much in it, to be fair. But I want to talk about this, Dan. Let's go to this for the Coach's Corner. All right, Dan, you know I love this stuff where we think outside the square, and I love the fact that coaches are starting to think outside the square, particularly with these set plays. We're seeing this so often where a team gets a scrum feed, not far out for the line, and they zig and zag. They try a couple of things. You have to. There's nothing more that I hate than you do a scrum play and you do nothing with it. This is a masterstroke from Team Sharks where Kaylee Rowe, we know, is a try-scoring machine, hasn't missed yet. You mentioned that. Has not played a game where he hasn't scored a try. But they've put Ronaldo Militalo in that centre position. He's got the better speed to get on the outside. And then you've got the giant, which is Kaylee Rowe, marking up against Sua Falongo, who's a great young player, but he's not a big fellow. One-on-one, he just thought if he can burn on the outside, get him to be one-on-one, it's going to be a try. And it certainly was. I just love the fact, and what I'd love to see more of, Dan, is why can't we see a Payne Haas on a block shape out the back taking on a centre? Why do we have to keep them in the middle? Imagine if you're a centre or an outside back and you're marking Payne Haas one-on-one. That type of thinking I absolutely love.
Like, think of how much that entire play changed on one aspect, and that was the swapping. Well, it's not that hard. What a move Militalo put on, though. I'm with you 100%. And I love the things that look so simple. Again, he did it again, Flanagan, the 2016 grand final play. It's unbelievable. How a team's not reading this. We saw it early in the year from another team. I think it was another team. I don't think it was the Dragons. And then this time the left side back in. Simplicity, Joel. Beauty is in the simplicity. And I'm with you. And you've also said, haven't you, that fullbacks should defend on the wing, but then go back to fullback in attack. That's the sort of stuff you're talking about?
Of course. Big Man Down, it's called. And Gal tells a story about that play, him and Benny Barber involved in that try in the grand final, where they tried it in round 5 and it was a shocker. They didn't use it again the whole year. And then leading up to the grand final, they thought, let's bring it out. They bring it out. And I think it was their first try of the grand final. So there you go. What are we selling? What are we buying? What do we like? What don't we like?
You can't start a segment without the proper opener. To our Melbourne friends who are putting the show together, I'm going to go out of order here, if that's okay, and I'm going to sell. I'm going to get the negative away first, and then we'll get to the fun stuff. I'm really concerned about the Knights, and I'm worried about the environment that is being created by Adam O'Brien. I don't know the guy. I don't know if he can coach or not. So I'm not casting those sort of aspersions, but here's what bothers me. The press conferences, the darkness. Every press conference, he is making references to writers and journalists and the negativity. They had a win over South 30-4. They thumped them. Weak South, gettable South. big win. And all Adam O'Brien did was take pot shots at the media. What are you going to say about us this week? What are you going to say about us? And in fact, have we got audio of what he said this week?
Well, clearly disappointed with the result. Okay. We're result-wise, attack-wise, everything that we know that's going to be written, we understand that not in a good place, but we're just going to have to work our way through it.
Okay, I didn't hear it completely there, but look, it's not much in isolation. It's a nothing comment, but I worry, Joel, that's the sort of darkness that permeates the Newcastle club. He's always taking shots when the Johns brothers are brought up, because the Johns brothers, with all the credibility in the world, often make comments about why he chops and changes halves. I'm just not seeing a lot of light there.
Points a big problem too, Dan. Like, they had scored the 27th minute against the Gold Coast Titans, and then they just don't look like scoring. So I don't know where they go from here. I really, really don't know where the Newcastle Knights go from here. So that's what you're selling. What are you buying?
Can we go to Joel's here? Because I just read the run. So this is what happens when you don't read the rundown. We'll get to mine in a minute, Melbourne. Sorry, we're putting everything out of order. Joel, forgive me. I'm on the road.
That's okay.
We can make mistakes.
No, that's okay. I'll take it up. I'll take it up. And I've kind of given a hint away around this anyway. I'm just loving and buying the scrum plays. Now, they're coming up with this. You mentioned Shane Flanagan. You called this game, Dan. This set play. They do call it the big man down. And it wasn't Barber, it wasn't Gallen, it was Gutherson who goes over for the try in front of your very eyes there. And that's what I'm buying. I just think you cannot, It really irks me when we see scrum feeds 10 metres out, 20 metres out from the goal line, and they do a set-up play. You must have a shot. We saw that with the Sharks. We saw that with the Dragons and Coach Flanagan. I am buying that. And you're buying?
This is niche. And this is for the American football diehards. But there is a movie being made by a great director called David O. Russell. That is Nicolas Cage as John Madden.
Wow.
And that is Christian Bale, unrecognisable as the LA Raiders owner Al Davis, one of the great villain characters in the history of sport. And you're going to love him. I have such high hopes for this movie based on one picture alone. This is going to be, I'm thinking, honestly, has the potential, because it's a great story, the Raiders story, the hard men of basically they accused of cheating and bashing people, and also Al Davis who continuously moved the team from LA to Oakland. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of things in the storyline. But you know what worries me? TMZ came out with a story that Nick Cage has spent a year researching his character. Problem was, he researched someone called Joan Madden, and he turned up to work on the first day and was waiting for the prosthetics that were never there. He had no idea what was going on. So that just gives me a little cause for concern. But I can't wait for the Madden movie whenever it comes back, whenever it comes out.
Dan, last 12 months I watched a documentary on Madden, and I couldn't believe it. They spoke about the story of the EA Sports game and his attention to detail. So he wouldn't do it unless there was 11 players there. He actually pushed back, and all ships rise with the tide. He made it so hard on EA Sports to get this game up. It actually pushed the game to being a better game. Yeah. Rugby League Live, I understand, is coming out, the 5th edition as well, and all the players are starting to look at their own scores, and that all comes back to Madden, doesn't it?
Madden, everything in video game technology comes back to Madden and what started there. Even games, Call of Doom and those sorts of Call of Duty and those Doom and Call of Duty and those sorts of things, all sort of the genesis was the Madden show. And you're right, because I can't remember the company EA, but what system they were using, but they wanted 7-on-7 football. And John Madden said, that's not football. EA said, but the technology, that's all the technology allows. And John Madden says, well, I'm not signing off on this. You can't release this game. That's right. So they came up with 11-on-11. Now, how much time have we got left here, Joel? Because I feel we're a bit early, which gives us a couple of minutes.
You've got a couple of minutes. Yeah, you've got a couple of minutes.
Okay, so we don't have time for fast money, but I'm going to ask some of the questions that would be fast money worthy. Have the Sharks done enough to convince you there is a good $7 bet for the premiership? I think they're too short still.
Have they done enough? I love how you said we haven't got enough time for fast money because we'll answer these quicker if we don't do fast money because we're never quick with that. Have they done enough?
There's no fast money on my rundown. Are we supposed to do it?
No, we're not. No, we're not supposed to do it.
Okay.
No, but they have a concern, and you actually flagged this on the Wednesday show a couple of weeks ago about Melbourne daytime versus nighttime. So I went and did some digging around. Dan, the Melbourne Storm in the daytime fast track, they're averaging about 55 points a game. They are 4-0. In the nighttime or rain around, they're 2-4 now. So and the grand final is a nighttime game. Admittedly, it is in the spring weather, but they are way off. They are not lay down misères at the moment. Are the Bulldogs the team to beat, in your opinion? Are they the team to beat right now?
No, Melbourne's the team to beat. I still think Melbourne. Problem with Canterbury, this is the problem with a couple of these teams. Cronulla, they could go undefeated for the rest of the season, and we're not going to be convinced until we see them do it in big games. Canterbury fell apart last year. Now, I think they're better this year. I think everyone thinks they're better. I think Cronulla's a different team than last year and the year before and the year before that. I really liked the combination last night. That's the first time I've seen them live in a while. Trindle and Hines, actually, they're really starting to work it out. But I still think Melbourne are the benchmark. And top two's their aim, but they have to finish top four. And I don't think that's a problem at this stage. Quickly, better top four prospect. Canberra at 210. Now, that's the last time I saw it. Or Warriors at 225. You take that away. You're going to say Canberra because you don't rate the Warriors.
No, I do rate the Warriors, but I think they're overachieving. And we see in the past that things kind of calibrate. I know they got beat by the Bulldogs in the fashion they did, but they are a legitimate side. I think this Raiders side are legit. So it's not a slight on the Warriors. It's, in fact, a big rap on Canberra, Dan. I'll ask you at the other end of the spectrum, and I hate having this conversation, and then you're probably sitting there watching that. Well, why are you bringing it up? Well, do we finish this season with all coaches intact in their positions?
Oh, no.
Do you think?
No way. No way. Because Newcastle or Gold Coast are going to finish last. And I think one of them's in big trouble. Now, I know Adam O'Brien's got that. That's an amazing deal where he's sitting on $2 million if they sack him. But if they're as bad as they continue to be, that's going to become untenable, and they're going to have to find a way. Newcastle Wests, they're going to have to pry open a couple of poker machines, and I hope they turn it around. I do. It sounds like I'm anti-Adam O'Brien. I'm just worried about what I'm hearing up there. Steve Mitchell, the man who runs the show at the Gold Coast, you know what he did over the weekend, Joel? He gave a full support of the board, backing up a Des Hasler. The countdown is on. There is no way we end the season with coaches intact. Can I just say one thing? I love Kevy. I love Mal. I respect Brad Arthur. I think we can do better for Perth. I think we need to have big ambitions first. Let's go after Bennett. Let's go after Bellamy. Then we go to the next tier.
Okay, all right. We're going to go after a very brief break. On the other side of that, Dan and myself, we're waiting here. We're going nowhere, waiting patiently, and we want to find out not only the futures predictions, the markets are up for round 12 of the National Rugby League. I want to find out. Dan is parked there at Suncorp Stadium, just around the corner from Caxton Street. I want to know who's waiting there at Caxton Street for him. We'll find out that on the other side of Get 'em Onside. The break coming up. You're watching Get 'em Onside, myself, Dan Ganane, and no, Shawnee Omrod, of course. If you missed the start of the program, he and his beautiful wife, Vanessa, have given birth to a young fellow, Georgie Omrod. So welcome to the family. Unders and overs, 8.5 hours sleep per night. I'll take the unders, Shawnee, I hate to say it, but let's do this, talking about lines and prices.
Here's a genuine question. He's a
Dan,
seriously
abbreviated
great punter.
round, you'll hear that term. Sorry, Dan.
He's a seriously great punter, Sean. Do you think the lack of sleep is going to affect his brain, his punting ability over the next few weeks? Do we now have to take that handicap into account? By the way, Newcastle plus 8.5 is the bet of the week.
Or maybe we do. It depends. It all depends on young George, Dan. I've got to say, I looked at this as well. The 8.5 jumped off the page. It'll be less than that, I think. Taking on this side, the Panthers, they're going to lose plenty. We know that much. But anyway, we're just about done. Enjoy it, folks. You can catch up on the feed with myself, Dan Gannay and Shawnee and Rod, still participating there. And, of course, we'll be back on Thursday night after the Matty John Show. Enjoy your week. Thank you very much, Dan. And well done to the Omrods. We'll catch you next time.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.